Namaskar. Hello to all of you. I'm very happy to be part of this panel today in this the 7th International Science Fiction Online Conference, and I'm really thankful to the organizers for giving me this opportunity. I'm an author and a civil servant, and my writing journey began quite some time ago, maybe about 2 decades ago. And I started writing, newspaper articles, columns, etc. And in magazines way back then. That's how I started writing. And towards 2010, around that time, I gathered the courage to try my hand at a full-fledged novel. And I think, like with most writers, I think most will agree with me that your first novel is normally semi-autobiographical. I mean, you do draw from your own life experiences, the people you know, the places you know, to build a story and a narrative. And the same happened with me because you're more comfortable and you are more, that space that you're writing about. And the same thing happened with me. And my first fiction was published in 2010, titled Never a Disconnect, which deals with the challenges of urban Indian women. When I had the book launch for that book, somebody asked me, what are you going to write next? And I just replied, science fiction. And I wondered to some extent that where that really came from, that response came from within me. And then when I thought about it, I realized that as a young person, while in school, college, etc., the two kind of genres I really liked to read were whodunits and science fiction. Science fiction always fascinated me, the canvas that it represents, the soaring of imagination of the author. And it was around that time, I think 2012 or something, that the whole news started coming about the cloning of Dolly the sheep, if you remember. And cloning began to be talked about and debated about, and what it holds for the future. And I think that news, when I think back now, that kind of sowed a germ of an idea in my head. And I wondered what would be the future of the relationship between men and women if both men and women could clone their children and they stopped needing each other for reproduction. And that idea kind of fascinated me. I started doing a lot of research, looking on the net on the ethics of cloning. And along with that, when I started researching, mind you, I'm not a science student. I left science way back in class 10. So while I was reading about cloning, I stumbled upon also the life extension efforts that are going on, that people are aiming to have a singularity of merging with the machines by 2045. And these two themes began to kind of brew in my head. And I realized that if I want to write a story of a world where men and women don't need each other for reproduction, where people nearly live forever, and in my story, if men in the reproductive link goes away, which is then they actually become the competing species. So willy-nilly, it had to be set in the future. And then I took it to another planet. So I always say that I never set out to write science fiction, but Ascendance, my book that came out in 2018, is science fiction because there was no other way I could have written the story that I was thinking about for many years. And I must say that I really enjoyed my journey of writing Ascendance. It took me 5 years to write. And now in the last 2-3 years, I've completed my next book. And that is also science fiction, because I have discovered that science fiction is a canvas that gives you an unparalleled kind of canvas on which to play with ideas, with characters. So I think going forward, I'm a confirmed science fiction writer.